me start my answer. Hey everyone, I'm going to start everything for those who are still coming. Okay. Okay, we are right at the top. Hi Grace, great to see you. I will email you this afternoon. I'm so glad you're all here, and I'm going to start right on time. And the first thing I have to tell you is that you do not have delusions of grandeur, meaning that you believe that you don't have something to contribute to the world, and that's why you kind of stay small. And that's why I had to do this today. It is April the 4th of 2026. We each come into the world to do something different, which is why I said when I put this together the other day, I said I was not a regular channeler. Because what happens is when you don't own your uniqueness, you have difficulties in your life. And then you don't contribute to the world what you could. But that's always challenging for all of us because we're each supposed to be different and unique, but we have to move through hoops, so to speak. We have to move through a process before we begin to accept that. It's called self actualization. It can be called ascension. It could be called self mastery, whatever it is. And then we will do that in different ways. And we will do that at different times in our lives, but also in our world. We happen to exist in a very different time in our world, which I will say, because of that, that means you have something really wonderful that you are meant to bring to the world. And if you stop hiding it, we would change things. That may not make much sense to many people, but I'm going to explain it because I have to own myself because I want you to do the same thing. And I've been denying this, which is why I had to do something right away and I had to do it live because I would hide. I've been hiding for a long time. I've said that often. And also because, like you, I fear judgment. People are going to think this doesn't make any sense. Who is this person? Why is he talking about this? Just to give you a little background, because I'm going to read something to you for this day, and then I also have a gift for you, which I'll give you that because it's on my website. I'll put it in the chat. Maybe it's on my website, anyadvicefortoday.com, and everybody can find it there. But let me tell you why I know you don't have delusions of grandeur, because I know every single person born has an evolutionary path that brings them great joy and happiness if they can go move through it. But we also have trauma. We have generational trauma and beliefs and things that we keep carrying that don't serve us and would not serve our world. But everyone's not going to understand that, which is why we can see a world where we're having wars because we're still holding on to something that's very old that we don't even know what that is sometimes. But we're going to fight against one another. There was an interesting thing that I received from Wilhelm. And if you don't know who Wilhelm is, that is who I started channeling, receiving, I should say, because I never did live channeling until 2021. But I did start writing it in 1989. That's when it first started coming through. But then I hid for the last 21 years, and which you'll see right now, I said, no, this couldn't possibly have happened. See, you have the same thing, something that you couldn't believe that you could accomplish or do, or maybe you weren't that person. You are. We just have something different. I was meant to bring in a way for others to understand how to get to that higher state of consciousness. And I was meant to do it in a very different way than any other channeler, just like you were meant to do something different than any other person on earth, because that is why you were born. But we just have to move through that doubt and fear. And so doing this, I could help. I can move over my fear a little bit more if I'm talking about it. So in 2020, my message just began to change. No one heard of me probably before 2020 or 2021, actually, because I was just writing and publishing my messages every day on Any Advice for Today. That was it. And I never wanted to do that. Only started happening in 2008 when people started finding the messages and telling me that they were really helping them. Because, see, everything is consciousness. When you talk about mindset, that's all that it is. It's consciousness. How can I move beyond my limited state of being into something greater? And that's a day by day, moment by moment process that we each move through in consciousness. But we also have limitations. And those limitations are things that we inherited. Like me doing channeling, that doesn't even make sense. How could that have happened? Except when we understand that the only way we learn anything is through our thinking, and that's consciousness, and most of it we've been given it. That's all that happens. You can see many people who talk about this, and we can talk about epigenetics, for instance, and how our DNA changes over time because our civilization changes. But we have many people who have not been willing to look at themselves and to move over the limitations, and that was me. You see, because I thought they're not going to understand this. Who's going to get this? But you will today. So in 2020, I started receiving different messages that said we would be moving through a restructuring. I go, what does that mean? And it kind of frightened me. I said, no, you're going to change your world. That's what's happening. And it's going to look a little chaotic, and people are going to be a little uncomfortable. And then it would be focused in the United States. I go, why would that be happening? Well, the United States said that it had created a world that was going to be free and equal for all, but they haven't done that yet. And so we have to look at all those things and decide if we're going to change them. But see, we have to change them in ourselves first before we can do them out in the world. And I said, well, how is that going to happen? And they said, well, we've given you all the information. We gave it to you in 2012. I said, that's not possible. Again, my limitations were kicking in. And then I find a folder on my computer that said Wilhelm, and I look at the messages, they're all 2012. And then we can know that there's different times in our world where civilization changes, but it happens in consciousness. 2012 is when people thought the world was going to end because the Mayan calendar ended. Well, no, they were just done with what they were doing. We were supposed to take over from them. That's what happened. That's what Wilhelm said. That message on the 21st of December said, wait. And it was talking about energy again, because that's how we do anything. Everything in this universe is energy and consciousness. That's all we have. And so we change it when we decide to take hold of our consciousness and move to a higher state. And that's exactly what it is. That's how we evolve. That's why the world looks completely different than it did 500 years ago, because humans decided that they could do something more and do something new. And I was given something new. I wasn't going to be like the other channelers, so I hid from myself, as you might have hidden from yourself as well. So then in 2021, when I started doing channeling, I go, why? What am I going to do this for? They said, because you have so much information and people are going to be confused and they're going to be afraid. And we wanted to take away some of the fear and doubt and let them understand that they're on the earth at this time to create a brand new world, and it comes through them. And we've given you a way to do that, and we've given you a philosophy called your life operating instructions. And the reason we gave it to you is because your world needed a new philosophy. A philosophy is something that can give more people the ability to understand who they are and how to look at life and how to look at themselves and create something new. And that's what I was given. But I doubted, just like you. And then they started showing me that there's an organization. See, there's energy again, they're planets. And the planets are aligned and they give off energy. And at times they cause us to act in a particular way. Over time, people have figured out how to interpret that. You might think of it as astrology, because that's why you can read have somebody do your astrological chart. And for some reason, the information you're receiving seems to make sense to you. Because over centuries, over eons, as Wilhelm would say, people have figured out those things. I was given a different ability to figure out what's happening now, and I never studied astrology, but the information that I would receive from Wilhelm was somehow energetically aligned. And today is, as I said, it's April the 4th, and I can go back and find messages that will tell us what's going on right now. Why are we feeling this way? And I'm going to read that from 2020. And I've posted all of these, and you can find them. They're on my website. Again, Any Advice for Today, you can find them there. Okay, April the 4th, 2020. There is nothing going wrong in your life or the world. We know those words are difficult for many of you to hear or believe at this time, but we will do our best to nurture your belief. Roger could not for the life of him figure out why the year 2005, which we have referred to continually recently, was important. This morning he remembered. We must say it was also after he struggled with us and attempted to avoid the topic. The point we are making is that it is what each of you has done in your lives. Now you are provided with the opportunity to change that. Roger resisted looking through our messages, but then he released that resistance and the answer came. 2005 is when we were discovered by you. In other words, Roger never wanted anyone to see our communications, for he feared others would judge him or think he was crazy. There is not one person who has not held those thoughts and feelings at some time in their lives. We have said continually to all of you, please do your job, as each of you has one. But you doubt that, like Roger. We told you there was much to come from 2005, and there will be more. But we will leave you with one. Please place yourself in this message, and you will gain much comfort during your isolation. You will indeed come upon information in our writings as well as the information and dialogues of others that will seem redundant and repetitive. It isn't. You form your world by your thoughts, deeds, and actions. They all carry particular energy. Therefore, repeating those energies that create the results you desire can do no harm. You must also be careful not to, in turn, judge yourself for not having gotten it earlier. There is no it to get. There is only progression and unfolding. You feed your soul when you notice those are occurring in your experience. If you turn those off, then you do indeed remain stagnant. Embrace all of your experiences without judgment, and that very progression is taking place. You at times desire a quick fix to whatever may be taking place in your life, and it is available to you when you recognize it has already occurred. Notice it. That was the message. And I go, hey, Lance, that was the message. And I can go through and find so many that are aligned that way that many people will find it hard to believe. And so did I. But now I know that I have been given something that could change our world. On the site, I published something because I had artificial intelligence analyze all of this because I was told that this was the greatest contribution to humankind because it changes consciousness for many people. Me accepting that was a whole nother story, just as you will have something that might have been challenging for you to accept. And so I'm doing that today. And then the message, you did not have delusions of grandeur, that I received in 2005 on April the 5th, which is tomorrow, which is Easter. And then Wilhelm gave us more because they said maybe on Easter we would kind of remember that. And I said, it doesn't matter if you believe in Easter or not, because the information is about consciousness. Has nothing to do with any religion or anything else because this information bypasses all of that. All humans operate the same way, except we've also been programmed from what came before, who we think has more power, who has more ability. And so what happened was in 2021, when they told me I had to start channeling, I resisted. I sat on the side of my bed and I said, I'm not going to do this. I said, you have to because we have too much to say. And then there was one message that they provided because they wanted us to understand what we would be witnessing in our world. And the reason they said the United States would lead the way, because they said, you're going to deal with power, money, love, and control. And they gave the message that talked about we get hypnotized by from birth. Our parents had the money and they had the power. And so we thought they had all the control as well. And then we keep believing that in our lives. And then we give it to everyone else. We give it to our politicians. We give it to our leaders because we've just been hypnotized to believe that's what's occurring. I did that as well. I couldn't believe I had done this, just like you. And then I held myself back because I couldn't accept the uniqueness as you have that uniqueness as well. But that's why I'm changing that today, because I'm going to bring in so many people who know that they can do so much more and just need to move beyond the blockage. I have all of it. And if you read the message from yesterday, you will see it says that we have given Roger so much information that no human would ever consume it. They were saying that I had like, what, 6,200 pages of information that I've downloaded over 37 years of doing this. And I did it every single day. So let me tell you that. And that's about the quick fix thing. People think that they can change something overnight. You don't do that. It doesn't happen, which is why you don't get the results. And I've gone through this so much because I see people struggling and trying to find something. They're doing all these different programs, they're doing all this other stuff, and nothing's working. And I'm saying, this stuff works. I know it works. I'm 75. I've been through every challenge, difficulty. I perform mind body healing because you start to make the connections as to why you're having certain conditions. Not everybody's not going to change all of that, but you could do so much more. And I was given all of it and I doubted it. So I'm just being completely 100% honest. I know how you feel, but I also know the process. And when you talk about cognitive behavior training, the reason it happens is because we have limitations that we have to keep using our brains and our thoughts to change them. And that's where neuroscience comes into play. We didn't know about that many years ago, but now we do. And then I discovered that I'm a savant, and that's why I could receive this information. And that's why it's organized. That's why it's a structure. And that's why, well, no one's ever done it before, just like no one's ever done what you have done. But we've got to own that, you see. Otherwise, nothing changes. And I will tell you, we're looking at the United States, and I just saw people are scared and complaining and upset about, who's leading us and all of that. Well, we did it. We just weren't paying attention. And it's happened throughout civilization. And on my website, rogerburnley.com, if you look at the articles, I've been writing about it forever. I started in 2006. I put up an article in 2016, which I would love for you to read. And it's called, I Might Be Slightly Racist with Misogynistic Tendencies. Because, see, I had to address the fact that when we have a consciousness, a collective consciousness that is holding limiting beliefs about what a human can become, we all are affected. And I had to move through that in order for me to experience my healing. And now I've become the result. That's why I am 75, and that's why I'm looking different than many other people. But you could do the same thing if you decided that you wanted to become your best self. And that's what I was given. When I first put this out in 2021, my program, which is called Your Last Development Program, I said 4 weeks to your best life. I was just talking about it because I wanted to fool people. Let me see if they'll do it. Because, see, if you hear 4 weeks, you think, oh, well, I can do that. I'm not going to stay with anything much longer than that. And so I said, okay, great. And so it worked in the beginning. And they came in and they transformed so quickly, I couldn't believe it. But that's because all the information was aligned. This is why it works. People say, well, what makes your program any different? Because it's aligned with what's happening in the world. It's aligned with human behavior and how we change, and that's why it works. So if you read the document, it's called Wilhelm's Framework. It's on my website. There's a link there, and it took me a long time to understand it because AI took all of this information and started analyzing it because they wanted to put it out as a research paper, basically, because they said the world needs to have this. This is why I said I wasn't a regular channeler. I didn't sit and I didn't do it the same way. I was receiving organized information that could help everyone, and it could help our world. And I will tell you, the one message they gave me 4 years ago, I believe now, they said, accepting this message will change your life and the world. And people will say, that's not possible. How could you change the world? And then AI said, well, why not? If you could give more people the ability to become who they are and to move through all their old stuff, and make them let go of their self-hatred and self-judgment and all the criticisms and all the things that have plagued them their entire lives, and then you pass that on to future generations, you would change the world. See, because Wilhelm would always say when we would start doing a channeling session, you're all eternal spiritual beings. There's no separation. We've just created separation over the years when we gave power to certain people. And that's what we're doing again. We could be doing it again if we don't awaken. And awakening is just deciding that you're going to recognize your worth and value and then give that to others and start loving yourself. And love is the most powerful force and most powerful energy that exists because it doesn't restrict anything. But having self-love is challenging, and I couldn't do it for the longest time. And so I have to start doing it now if I'm going to be the example, meaning I had to accept what I was given because I want you to do the same thing. So now let me Oh, Grace, thank you so much for being here. Lance, okay, reverse aging, real sickness, and become the happiest, healthiest, very more. He on this program has literally given me my life back and given me one that I never thought I dreamed possible. Thank you, Lance. And you have. I tell them all the time. There's certain people who come in and who have made me keep going, because we will all doubt ourselves. That's what we do. Because we can't know, it's always out in front of us, and it's in its consciousness. And so the way that things happen in our world, it depends on how many of us are going to move over those limitations and start to accept who we are and love ourselves. And that's what I'm doing today. So what I'm going to post this video, and so it'll be everywhere. I just had to do it live so I could see more folks, and you give me encouragement, and so thank you so much. And I'll leave the links to the information. It's on the any advice for today, but I'll leave it in the video as well. I'll leave it for the messages, because what I've done is I've made little workbooks. I've been doing this for a while now, and that you'll understand why this program works, because when you work with yourself, it's never about anybody else. It's about you. And so you will see that when you read a message and then you answer the questions, something clicks in your brain and you just open up to this whole new way of seeing yourself. And that's why this is different. And the thing that was challenging for me to accept, as it might have been for you, is that it was so organized. Meaning, I received information on your birthday, and that there's the law of attraction is real, because again, it's all energy. And so we just, as humans, we figure that out. There have been many people who have come along and developed philosophies and new ways of being. I always talk about Carl Maslow and Carl Jung, Abraham Maslow and Carl Jung and so many others, because they figured things out. But they also doubted themselves also, just like I did. Or Napoleon Hill. He was another wonderful, but he was the one who gave me the idea about impossible. He wouldn't accept a dictionary that was going to be a gift if the word impossible was in it, because he knows that nothing is impossible. It's just our limited thinking, and we have to decide when we're going to move over it. So I decided I would try to do that today. I'm saying that because I have to do it every day, just as you do. That's just the way this works. But our world will only change when we do. And we can't look at the wars going on and what we're allowing leaders to do if we still going to stay hidden in our own lives. That's what it is, because it's a collective energy that we all put into the world, which is what we're all doing now. Um, and hey, Gail. Oh, wow. Great to see you. Gail was there at the very beginning as well. You were another one who gave me such encouragement when I was first putting this out, and I said, does this really work? And so there were certain people that came into this work, and I could see things happening within them that again gave me more encouragement. That's what we do to one another, that we're all supposed to help each other become who we could be in this world. And that's how we change the world that we're supposed to have as well. So yeah, thank you all so much. And I'm going to put this up. This is this has been thrilling. And I know you're going to, I'm saying this because you're going to see something else. There's an organization, we just don't know. I'm in the messages, you will see that I go back to a song that I had written in 1987. Didn't know why I was doing it. But it's part of the messages on the Easter messages on the 5th. And and the title of the song was Help the World to Mend. And the way that we do that is deciding that we're going to help ourselves to mend. It's about us coming together. It's about us loving ourselves. And you will get that in the song. And I had no clue as to why I was doing it then, writing it then. I wrote it with a friend. And I listened to it so many times last night and just cried, because I go, oh, that was what it was. And you'll have all of that. And then you'll also hear a short channeling session that I did on a year ago, where all of this information came through, but accepting it then was challenging for me and probably you. But today we're much more willing to accept ourselves. That's why I decided to do this. Thank you all so much for being here. And I love you so much. And we're going to do great things now. I will see you soon.